Midgard was the land of the descendants of Ask and Embla, the first pair of humans created by the gods. Mankind survived with the protection of the gods, who had always shielded them from the forces of chaos. Thor, the terminator of giants, prevented the land of men from being taken over by the Jotnar. Under the gods' protection, mankind thrived without ever forgetting to pay the proper sacrifices to the gods. These men were used to dealing with the strictness of winter and were always preparing themselves to counteract all the difficulties that a long, icy winter could subject them to. But even these men knew that the reign of the gods would not be eternal, and that the Asgardian deities would have to face the forces of evil during Ragnarok. In Midgard, the land of men, the summer was ending. It all pointed to a great harvest ahead. But a cold wind blew, and unexpected frosts devastated a great share of the crops. The tree leaves quickly acquired autumn colors and fell way before the expected period, a sign that a harsh winter was approaching. Even with their crops ruined, men tried to prepare themselves as much as they could for the impending winter. But despite that determination, they could not be ready to face the approaching nightmare. Fimbulvetr had arrived, and with it the long winter. 3 winters would follow without any summer in between. Men and their livestock found shelter from the intense cold in their coats, in an attempt to survive without perishing before the freezing cold. The nights appeared to be longer. Every night, men feared that the sun would never rise again. Their food supplies would end, and due to hunger, they were forced to all eat egg-producing chickens and even their pets. Those who attempted to hunt an animal in the cold became easy prey for the packs of Fenrir's offspring. Men began to fight between themselves for scarce resources. Brother fought brother. Children challenged their parents. Chaos settled among men. The war axes were always drenched in blood. In Asgard, the Assyrian gods watched the signs that pointed to the ultimate quarrel between the gods and the forces of chaos. This cataclysmic event will be known as Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. After 3 virtually never-ending winters, chaos settled into the realm of men. Few managed to escape alive from the bloody anarchy that followed. The prophesied conditions for the beginning of Ragnarok had been established. 2 wolves, who claimed to be Fenrir's offspring, crossed the skies, going after the sun and moon. Hades chased the moon, and Skoll pursued the sun. The deities who embodied the 2 celestial bodies' time managed to escape the wolves for a long time, but they would not dodge Fenrir's offspring forever. That was when the wolves finally reached their prey and swallowed them. Without sun nor moon, the world fell into darkness. The end was near. Major earthquakes made by Yggdrasil, the tree of the world, trembled. The great crack and the mountains collapsed. The rock on which the mighty Fenrir wolf was bound had been shattered. The colossal wolf was finally freed, and he sought revenge. Jormungand, the serpent of the world, convulsed in the waters, causing massive waves. These tsunamis leveled the few surviving coastal cities. The colossal serpent released its terrible poison, contaminating the waters. From the smallest living creatures, like the planktons, to the largest whales, they all perished intoxicated by the terrible snake. Loki, imprisoned and subjected to a dreadful torment, had his moorings broke. Like his son Fenrir, Loki only had one desire in his heart, the destruction of the Asgardian gods. The god of lies walked down to Helheim, the kingdom where the souls of those who had an unworthy death ended up. There, his daughter Hel reigned sovereign. The queen of the dead realm handed to her father the command of an army of the undead. This army included the corpses of those who had experienced a shameful death. These Nordic zombies wanted to reach the sort of glory they failed to attain when they were alive. Nidthogr, the dragon that gnaws the roots of the tree of the worlds, dug a great tunnel through which the armies of the dead would march to the land of men. Massive flames signaled that the army of Muspelheim was marching on. The giants of the flaming lands were led by Surtur, the Black. The colossal giant burned everything in his path with his flaming sword. The Jotunheimer ice giants jumped on giant ships made with human nails and sailed towards Vigrithur, the place chosen as the battleground between the gods and the forces of chaos. The doubts of Heimdall, the guardian of the gods, had been dissipated, for Ragnarok had begun. The god finally blew the Gjallarhorn, and his sound could be heard throughout the universe. This was the warning everyone dreaded. The end of the era of the Aesirian gods was approaching. The great battle would begin. Heimdall's ringing horn announced that the day of the final battle had finally arrived. The forces of chaos, commanded by Loki, were eager to put an end to the reign of the Aesir gods, ready to use every available means to achieve such a goal. The Asgardian gods knew that the great battle was inevitable, and they had prepared themselves for the great day for thousands of years. The gates of Valhalla were opened, and thousands of warriors stepped out of the great hall and formed Odin's great army. This army comprised the bravest warriors who, while they were alive, died fighting bravely in the battlefields. They were taken by the Valkyries to the Hall of Valhalla, where they waited to again display all their courage while fighting alongside the gods during the Ragnarok. All the gods capable of wielding a weapon joined the fighters. The massive army of the Muspelheim giants tried to shatter the Asgardian gates. The Bifrost Bridge collapsed in the process, and part of the great army fell into the waters. The Asgardians cherished as the giants drowned in the river waters, but the gods knew that their destiny was not to hide behind the powerful walls constructed by the giant builder. Their destiny was to honorably face the forces of darkness in the open field. So Odin, on his glorious 8-legged horse, ordered the attack. The army of the gods advanced against their enemies. When their enemies clashed, the impact was so immense that it made Yggdrasil, the tree of the worlds, tremble. Thor, the champion of the gods, wanted to smash the heads of thousands of giants and was killing his enemies by the hundreds. The ice giants were led by Hyrm during the final battle, fighting Odin's ranks with great courage. Loki guided Hel's armies of living dead, composed of the dead who had experienced an unworthy death. Frey, the Vanir god, fought bravely on his golden boar next to the Asgardians. The valiant god attacked Surtur, the mighty leader of the Muspelheim fire giants. Frey did his very best, but that was not enough to defeat Surtur, who killed the Vanir god with his flaming sword. Before his death, Frey regretted having given his magic sword to Skirmir, since everything could have ended differently if he had had it in his hands. Frey was the first god to crumble on the battlefield, and many others would follow him. Tyr, the warrior god who sacrificed his hand for the gods in order to trap the wolf Fenrir, also fell after facing Garm, the powerful wolf of Hel, who defended the world of the dead. However, before his death, Tyr still managed to stick his sword into the hellish beast's heart. The battlefield was shaken when Jormungandr, the serpent of the world, appeared ready to fight. The creature unleashed a mist of venomous gases that killed the warriors of the gods. After encountering the serpent, Thor felt an immense impetus because he had been waiting for the decisive battle between him and his old rival. The fight between Thor and Jormungandr was nothing short of epic. The gigantic serpent attempted to swallow the Asgardian hero as the latter dodged his strikes and counterattacked with powerful hammer blows. The god of thunder managed to hit Jormungandr, forcing it to plunge into the ground, wounded. Thor unleashed a deadly blow to the serpent's head. The Asgardian gods and warriors cherished their champion's victory. Nevertheless, Thor's strike was so strong that it shattered Jormungandr's poison pockets, spreading a venomous cloud around Thor. Thor dropped on his knees and fell dead, poisoned. Without his ultimate champion, the battle against the forces of chaos became even more difficult for the gods. Fenrir, the giant wolf and son of Loki, devoured all those who opposed him, but he wanted to find Odin, his mortal enemy. The supreme god of Asgard knew that his destiny was to fight the terrifying wolf, Loki's son, and he did not run away from that opportunity. Odin spurred Sleipnir and advanced against Fenrir. But Odin's destiny was not to get out of this clash alive. Fenrir opened his massive mouth and devoured the father of all. The gigantic wolf mocked the gods after his victory against Aesir's wisest. That vexation filled Vidar's heart with hate, Odin's son. His fury gave him massive strength. Vidar attacked Fenrir, and the latter tried to bite him, but Vidar stuck his feet into the wolf's tongue and, with his strong arms, pushed his teeth away. The strength he put in was so colossal that he tore Fenrir's jaw in half. The gigantic wolf was dead. Even with his son's death, Loki felt satisfied with the carnage while watching the fall of the gods, one after the other. Heimdall, the guardian of the Rainbow Ridge, advanced between the army of the dead of Hel, making his way to Loki. Heimdall and Loki dueled, and the plasticity of the quarrel made it look like a deadly dance. Loki and Heimdall hit each other several times. The duel did not have a winner, and both died. The giant Surtur burned the world with his sword. The flames took over everything. There were no fighters on the side of the living, nor on the side of the dead. Only ashes remained. The flames reached Asgard, and the palaces were consumed by rivers of fire. The water level of the oceans rose to form a major flood. There was nothing else on Earth. The age of the Aesir gods was over. The waters that swept the earth receded, and in the earth that emerged after the flood, plants started to blossom again. A new sun emerged and put an end to the darkness that had taken over the earth. The Yggdrasil tree did not withstand the damage during the Ragnarok and fell, but inside the great ash tree, a secret surprise was concealed. The gods had hidden a couple of mortal beings so that the human race could resist the events of Ragnarok. The world would be repopulated again thanks to the love of this couple. The Asgardian kingdom had disappeared, but a new kingdom called Ithvalor would take its place. 6 gods took their seats in Ithvalor, the sons of Odin. Vidar, who killed Fenrir, and his brother Vali were there. The sons of Thor, Magni, and Mothi carried the god of thunder's hammer, standing for this new kingdom. Balder, the most beloved of the gods, emerged from the world of the dead, who together with Hother rose to take the last seats. There, they remembered the old traditions and discussed the future, trying not to repeat the mistakes of the past. The gods found the golden chess pieces used in the gods' games, and just like their parents, they began a new round of the ancestral game. A new cycle was beginning.